Welcome to Nature Academy, myself Dr. Sheikh Ahmed. In this lecture, we are going to discuss de Broglie hypothesis. In the previous lectures, we discussed photoelectric effect, Compton effect, and pair production. All these three effects confirm the particle nature of radiation. The wave nature of radiation can also explained with the help of interference and diffraction. So what I am trying to say is the radiation has dual nature. So that is the known concept. De Broglie prompted the concept of radiation, and he stated that matter also has dual nature. For this small statement, he got Nobel Prize. The statement is very small, but it has enormous applications. It has a lot of significance in quantum mechanics. So today we are going to discuss what is de Broglie. You can pronounce it as de Broglie hypothesis or de Broglie hypothesis. So you can take the chance. Here I am giving the statement of de Broglie's hypothesis, that is matter has dual nature. What do you mean by matter? Any material particle has dual nature. So first of all, I want to explain what is dual nature. So take radiation. Radiation may be light. You can consider light or heat as radiation. So this radiation has dual nature. One is wave nature, other one is particle nature. Particle nature. So wave nature of radiation can be explained with the help of interference and diffraction. Okay, so we have other things also, like polarization also can be polarization also support the wave nature. And the particle nature of radiation, here the radiation may be light, can be confirmed by photoelectric effect and Compton effect. You can also take pair production or black body radiation. So all these three effects confirm the particle nature of radiation. Generally, we assume that light is a wave, electromagnetic wave. So wave is having a particle behavior. Then de Broglie assumed that particle can also have a wave nature. Particle can also have a wave nature. So here particle means a material particle. Okay, particle means a material particle having some mass m, or I can call it as a matter. So matter also have a particle nature as well as wave nature. So we are going to discuss what is this dual nature in the coming slides. According to de Broglie, every moving particle is associated with a wave called matter wave. For example, let us take a small particle of mass m which is moving with a velocity v. Then this material particle is associated with a wave. So such type of wave is known as a matter wave. A wave associated with any moving massive particle is known as a matter wave. For example, a person of weight 50 kg, he is walking like this. That means he is having some velocity. Of course, the velocity may be very less. Okay, let us say 10 meters per second. Then this person is associated with a wave. So this person will create a wave. So wave is characterized by wavelength or frequency. So now this wave is known as matter wave, and this matter wave has some wavelength lambda. So depending upon the wavelength of the matter wave, we can detect the matter waves. Okay, sometimes the wavelength of matter waves are detectable, and sometimes the wavelength of matter waves are not detectable, depending upon the mass of the particle. So De Broglie derived an expression for the wavelength of matter waves on the analogy of radiation. So we know expressions for energy of radiation. E is equals to h nu. What is this expression? This is the expression for energy of a photon according to Planck's radiation law. And according to Einstein's mass energy relation, the energy of any radiation is E is equals to mc square. So from equation, let us say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2, mc square can be written as h nu. Nu is simply c by lambda. On both sides we can cancel c. Therefore, I will write mc is equals to h by lambda, or the wavelength lambda can be written as h by mc. And in other words, I can write it as p. So what is p here? P is equals to momentum, which can be written as mc. So this is momentum of photon. Momentum of photon. De Broglie adapted the same technique and he wrote, if any material particle of mass m, for example, let us say we can call it as an electron, is moving with a velocity v, then its momentum is simply m into v. We know this one, right? So any material particle having mass m moving with velocity v, it will produce a wave which is known as matter wave, and the wavelength of that matter wave is simply h by m into v. H by m into v. So we have the earlier expression lambda is equal to h by mc for radiation, and De Broglie derived an expression lambda is equal to h by mv. So he observed that the radiation and matter has some symmetry. So whatever be the laws or whatever be the principles applied to radiation, we can also apply to matter. So he simply made an assumption that any material particle moving with a velocity v, it will produce a matter wave whose wavelength lambda is h by mv. Now we are going to discuss the properties of matter waves. What is a matter wave? A material particle produces a wave which is known as matter wave. So this is somewhat different from the electromagnetic waves. So let me write the expression for the wavelength of matter waves. Lambda is equals to h by mv, or lambda is equals to h by p. Okay, so lighter particles have greater wavelength. If the mass is very less, m is very less, then the wavelength will be high. M is small, then what happens to wavelength? Wavelength is large because m is in the denominator. Next, smaller velocity, greater is the wavelength. Similarly, I can write lambda is equals to h by mv. If v is less, wavelength will be more. Next, this one is important property. If m is equals to 0, lambda will become infinite. Okay. If v is equals to 0, lambda again becomes infinite. V0 means rest particle. The particle is at rest. If particle is at rest, it will not produce any matter wave. So rest particles will not produce matter waves. And particles with zero mass, rest mass 0, will not produce matter waves. For example, photon. Photon rest mass is 0. M is equals 0. Right? They will not produce matter waves. Of course, photon is an electromagnetic wave. So whatever be the velocity, if m is equals to 0, they will not produce matter waves. Whatever be the mass, if velocity is 0, they will not produce any matter waves. So matter waves are independent of charge. They are produced by both charged and uncharged particles. That means if you take any positive charge plus q, it will produce a matter wave. And if you take a negative charge like electron and positron, so electron will produce matter waves and positron will also produce matter waves. So matter waves are independent of charge. The velocity of matter wave is not constant. It depends upon the velocity of particle, whereas the velocity of electromagnetic wave is constant. The velocity of matter wave may be greater than the velocity of light. So this is very important point. The velocity of matter wave may be greater than the velocity of light. Let us discuss. So we have two expressions. One is E is equals to h nu, again Planck's radiation principle. Another one is E is equals to mc square. Now equate the both. What will you get? H nu is equals to mc square, or implies nu is equals to, the frequency nu is equals to mc square by h. So this is one expression. Let us say that there is a particle of mass m which is moving with a velocity v. It will produce a matter wave like this, and the velocity of matter wave is represented with w. So w is the wave velocity. So wave velocity w is related with frequency and wavelength like this. W is equals to, wave velocity is equals to frequency into wavelength. So what is frequency here? mc square by h we got from this one. De Broglie wavelength, I can write it as h by m into v. So h's get cancelled, get cancelled. So what will you get? C square by v. So wave velocity is equals to c square by v. So you see here, particle velocity is always less than light velocity. No particle can move faster than the light velocity. Okay, so in that case c square will be more, right? So w will be greater than c. If you look at the expression, w is equal to c square by v, v is always less than c, therefore w is always greater than c. That means the wave velocity of matter wave is greater than the velocity of light. So this is something interesting, right? So these are the properties of matter waves. Sometimes you will get a theoretical question on properties of matter waves. So moving on to the next property, the wave and particle aspects of matter never appear simultaneously in the same experiments. That means you cannot find the wave nature and particle nature simultaneously. This is just like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. The position and momentum of any particle cannot be identified, right? This statement leads to Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So this is about matter waves. So matter waves have wavelength lambda, and the lambda is h by mv, you can write. So we have other formulas also. So we'll discuss the formulas with examples. So here we have one previous year's question. It is GATE 2005. De Broglie wavelength for an electron of energy 150 million electron volt is. So we know the formula, right? What is the formula? Wavelength lambda is equals to h by mv, or lambda is equals to h by p. So this is a known formula. Now I want to write, let us say this is equation, formula number 1. I want to rewrite lambda in terms of energy. So that is kinetic energy. Let us derive that formula first, and after that we solve it. So we know that kinetic energy, here E is kinetic energy, can be written as half mv square, right? Multiply numerator with m and denominator with m, then what will you get? Mv whole square here, that is nothing but p whole square divided by 2. So I can write p square is equals to 2me, or p is simply under root 2me. Capital E is the kinetic energy. Therefore I can write wavelength lambda is equals to h by under root 2me. So this is formula number 2. Okay, lambda is equals to h by under root 2me, where m is the mass of the electron, mass of the particle, E is the energy. Energy means kinetic energy. Let us use this formula and try to solve this one. So substitute all the values here. So what is H value? H is a Planck's constant. It has the value 6.626 into 10 power minus 34 joule second. This is an approximated value. And under root 2 into what is M? M is the rest mass of an electron. M as 9.1 10 power minus 31 kg, and energy is 150 million electron volts. So million is 10 power 6, and electron volt is how much? 1 electron volt is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joules. So when you substitute all these things and you do the simplification, you will get an answer. Okay, so this is one technique. You can write lambda is equals to h by under root 2me. Okay, let us move to the third formula. So now I am writing the third formula here. So this is first one, lambda is equal to h by p, and second one is lambda is equals to h by under root 2me, and the third formula is lambda is equals to 12.26 by root v angstroms. So how will you get this one? When electron is accelerated by voltage v, then we'll get matter waves, and that matter wave will have wavelength lambda is equals to h by, so this is known formula, h by under root 2 me. In this case, the kinetic energy E will be equals to the work done in moving the electron, that is E into V. So simply you can replace capital E with EV, then you will get the expression. Substitute all these values here, then final expression is lambda is equals to 12.26 by root V. After substituting H value, M value and charge of the electron, you will get this value. So substitute the values here, 12.26 by root 150, sorry, this is not 150 million electron volts, this is 150 electron volts simply. So the answer is 12.26 divided by root 150 is nearly 12.26, so you will get 1 angstrom. 1 angstrom is nothing but 10 power minus 10 meters. So what is our answer? B is the answer. Next, this is 2009 GATE question. The de Broglie wavelength of particles of mass m with average momentum p at room temperature T in 3 dimensions is given by. So let us recall what are the formulas here. So there is a fourth formula I am going to explain here. The kinetic energy E is the kinetic energy of a gas molecule is written as F by 2 kT. Okay, the kinetic energy of gas molecules E is given by F by 2 kT, where K is Boltzmann constant. You can write Kb also. T is the temperature. What is F? F is degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom. So 3 dimension means the degree of freedom is 3. Okay. So the different degree of freedom, F has different values. F is equals to 3 for monoatomic gas. F has 3. F has the value 3 for monatomic gas, and F is 5 for diatomic gas molecules, and F value is 6 for polyatomic gas. Polyatomic gas. You should remember this one. The wavelength of particles or gas particles of mass m, average momentum p at room temperature in 3 dimensions. So I can take the degree of freedom is 3 here. Sometimes he will mention that the particle is diatomic, then you have to take F value 5. If it is polyatomic, you have to take 6. If he did not mention, we can simply consider that the given gas molecule is monatomic gas molecule. Therefore, write E is equals to 3 by 2 Boltzmann constant Kb into T. This is the kinetic energy. So substitute this kinetic energy in the expression 2. What will you get? The lambda is H divided by 2m into 3 by 2 kbt. So 2 get cancelled. What will you get? The final expression is H over m 3m kbt, square root of 3m kbt. Lambda is h by square root of 3m kbt. So this is fourth formula. Okay, you can see the answer. B is the right answer. Lambda is equals to h by 3m kbt. So this is GATE 2009 question. Very simple. Now let us solve one problem. So this is a very important problem. The kinetic energy of a proton and an alpha particle not under the influence of any force are given to be equal. Let us write kinetic energy. Let us write kinetic energy of a proton EP and the kinetic energy of alpha particle are equal. If we denote de Broglie wavelengths of the proton by lambda p and that of alpha particle lambda alpha, then so what is the relation between lambda p and lambda alpha? Here I can write lambda is proportional to under root m under root e. So both alpha particle and proton have same e. So I can write simply lambda is proportional to 1 over root m. So what is our condition here? Lambda is proportional to inversely proportional to square root of m. Since h is a constant, we can ignore this one. Lambda is E is kinetic energy is same, so we can remove that one also. So lambda is proportional to 1 by root m. So let us write lambda p is proportional to 1 by mass of proton. Let us say mass of proton is 1 unit atomic unit. Lambda alpha is 1 by square root of 4. Therefore, write lambda p divided by lambda alpha. Take the ratio. So what will you get? Lambda p is 1 by 1 under root 1 and here lambda alpha will get root 4. So simply root 4 by root 1, that is root 2. Therefore, I can write lambda p is equals to 2 times of lambda alpha. So option D is the correct one. I hope you understood the concept here. Next, moving on to an important problem. The speed of an electron whose de Broglie wavelength is equals to Compton wavelength. So what is the formula for de Broglie wavelength? De Broglie wavelength lambda is equals to h by mv. Now what is Compton wavelength? Let us write the Compton shift here. Delta lambda is equals to h over m naught c into 1 minus cos theta, where h by m naught c is lambda c Compton wavelength. Okay. In this problem, he mentioned that de Broglie wavelength. Let us say de Broglie wavelength is lambda p is equals to Compton wavelength lambda c. So equate the both. What will you get? H by mv is de Broglie wavelength is equals to Compton wavelength. Compton wavelength is simply h by m naught c. Okay. So this is Compton wavelength. So h's get cancelled. Then what will you get? mv is equals to m naught c. Here I can write m as m naught by square root of 1 minus v square by c square and into v. This is m naught c. So we have arrived at the expression square root of 1 minus v square by c square is equals to m naught c. So both sides m naught get cancelled and I can write v by c is equals to square root of 1 minus v square by c square. Squaring on both sides, what will you get? V square by c square is equals to 1 minus v square by c square. I can write 2v square by c square is equals to 1 implies v square is equals to c square by 2, or I can write v is equals to c by under root 2. So option B is the correct answer. Next, moving on to another problem. So this question appeared in HCU 2016 PhD entrance exam. Let us go through this question. The de Broglie wavelength of electrons, the mass of electron is this one, and energy charge of electron is 1.6 10 power minus 19 coulombs. Accelerated from the rest, that means that this is the rest mass, through a potential difference of v volts. So you know the formula, right? Lambda is what? 12.26 by root v angstrom. So this is the formula. The options are little bit modified. Just check it. 12.26 by root v. So root v is in the denominator, so this is the wrong option, and you should get numerator 12.26. So this is the wrong option. So now we have to look at root 15 by v or root 1.5 v by root 1.5 by v. So we have to look for option A and B. So if you take the option A, so lambda is root 15 divided by root v nanometers. Nanometer means how much? 10 power minus 9 meters. Okay. So root 15 value is how much? It's approximately, I can take 3.5 into 10 power minus 9 meters divided by root v. So I can write this as 35 into 10 power minus 10 meters divided by root v. So this is simply 35 by root v angstroms, right? 10 power minus 10 meters is on angstrom, 35 by root v angstrom. So this is not, so this is the wrong answer. So which one is correct? So option B is correct one. Okay, there is another important problem. That is, if the momentum of the particle decreases by 3%, then the de Broglie wavelength changes by. If the momentum of the particle decreases by 3%, then what happens to the wavelength of that matter wave? This question appeared many times in your competitive exams. So momentum of the particle is decreases by 3%. Then what happens to the wavelength? So you know the relation between wavelength and momentum, right? Lambda is inversely proportional to P. So how to solve this? Let us have a look here. We know the formula lambda is equals to h by P. The momentum decreases by 3%. That means I should write change in lambda value to its original value. Delta lambda by lambda is the change in lambda value. So how much it is? We have to calculate. So given that momentum change delta P by P is the change in the momentum, which is decreases by 3%, that is minus 3%. Minus that indicates the decrement in the momentum value. When you calculate the change in wavelength delta lambda by lambda, you get delta h by h minus delta p by p. So this is anyhow constant value. I can take it as 0. So this is 0, no problem. So delta lambda lambda by lambda is equals to minus delta p by p. Now I want the percentage. So what will you do here? Delta lambda by lambda into 100 will give the percentage is minus delta p by p into 100. What is the value of delta p by p? This is a decrement, right? So decrement is minus 3. As a result, we will get plus 3 into 100. So I'll write the percentage here. Instead of 100, I can write percentage. So what is the answer here? Delta lambda by lambda is plus 3%. That means delta lambda, the de Broglie wavelength increases by 3%. So correct answer is A, increases by 3%. Next, there is a similar problem. If the kinetic energy of the particle decreases by 2%, then the de Broglie wavelength changes by. So let us write the relation between wavelength and the kinetic energy is simply inversely proportional to this one, or I can write is proportional to e power 1 by 2, right? If you want exact formula, lambda is equals to h under root 2m e. So this is the formula. So here he mentioned that the kinetic energy of the particle decreases by 2%. So that means delta E by E is minus 2%. Minus 2. So delta E by E into 100 is minus 2%. Okay. Then question, what is the question? Delta lambda by lambda into 100 is how much percent? Is it having positive value or negative value? So write the formula delta lambda by lambda is equals to, what is the formula here? H by under root 2me. So I'll write delta h by h, okay, minus delta m by m with 1 by 2 minus delta e by e with 1 by 2. So this is constant value, delta h 0, Mass is also constant, 0. So delta H by H is equals to simply minus 1 by 2 delta E by E. So if you want the percentage, the change in the wavelength is given by minus 1 by 2 into delta E by E is how much? Minus 2 into 100. Okay, so simply write delta E by E as minus 2. That is a decrement in kinetic energy. So 2 to get cancelled, minus 1 into minus, you will get plus 1. So this is simply 1%. So delta lambda by lambda is simply plus 1. So I can write the wavelength, de Broglie wavelength increases. Plus sign indicates that increment in the wavelength by 1%. So option C is the correct answer. Let's go through this problem. An electron of rest mass ME is accelerated by an extremely high potential of volts V. Show that its wavelength lambda is hc by under root E into V eV plus 2me c square. So electron of rest mass Me is accelerated by an extremely high potential. Lambda is equals to, simply you can write 12.26 under root V angstroms. But when V is extremely high, then what is the formula? Lambda is equals to hc by under root E into eV plus 2m e c square. So we have to prove this one. When electron is accelerated by a potential V, then the electron gains some kinetic energy. Electron gains kinetic energy, which is E, is equals to E into V, where E is the energy, where small e is charge of the electron, capital V is the potential, which is in volts. Okay, so this is kinetic energy. And we know the expression, the relativistic expression for the kinetic energy is E is equals to total energy is mc square minus rest mass energy. So mc square minus m naught c square is kinetic energy. So this is one expression and this is another expression. Here the particle is under relativistic case. Since the potential is high, so the velocity attained by the electron is approximately equals to the velocity of light. In that case, I have to replace m with relativistic mass, that is m is replaced with m naught divided by square root of 1 minus v square c square into c square minus m naught c square. Okay, so let us say this is equation 1 and this is equation 2. So equate equation 1 and 2. Since both sides, we on the left side LHS we have E only. Okay, then what will you write? I can write m naught c square with 1 minus v square by c square minus m naught c square is equals to E into V. Okay, so you can make some changes here, like m naught c square under root 1 minus v square c square is equals to m naught c square plus E into V. Okay, from this expression I can write 1 minus v square c square with a square root can be written as m naught c square. I am doing the cross multiplication here, m naught c square into EV. Okay, so cross multiply these terms, so you will get this one. So squaring on both sides, what will you get? 1 minus v square c square. Squaring on both sides, you will get m naught c square divided by m naught c square plus EV whole square. So when you simplify this one, you will get V is equals to C EV into EV plus 2 m naught c square whole power 1 by 2 divided by EV plus m naught c square. So what is the relation between velocity v and the wavelength? Lambda is equals to h by mv. Okay, so h is constant and m is relativistic mass m naught by square root of 1 minus v square divided by c square into v. Substitute the value of v here. You take v value here and substitute, you will get this expression. This is small exercise for you students. So in sometimes they may ask in different way the same answer, the same expression in different terminology. Look at this one. Show that the wavelength of a particle of rest mass m naught with kinetic energy T is given by relativistic formula lambda is equal to hc by under root T square plus 2me c square T. In the previous problem, the wavelength lambda for an electron of rest mass m naught accelerated by voltage V, high voltage V, is given by m naught is the rest mass and potential is V, is given by hc by square root of EV into EV plus 2 m naught c square, right? So this is same as h into c EV whole square plus 2 m naught into EV c square. See, EV is the kinetic energy, right? When the electron is accelerated by a voltage V, then I can write kinetic energy T as EV. So simply you can replace EV with T, you will get the expression. So both expressions are same, provided that m naught is the rest mass of electron, where m is the rest mass of m naught is the rest mass of any particle. Okay, so both expressions are same. Moving on to an important equation, that is Bragg's equation. What is Bragg's equation? 2d sin theta equals to n lambda. I will discuss the Bragg's equation briefly and then we'll solve some problem. Okay. Let us take a nickel crystal, so which has some planes like this, lattice planes, and the distance between two planes is known as interplanar separation, that is d. Okay, so this is d, which is known as interplanar separation. When you incident some light on this crystal with an angle theta, theta is glancing angle or incident angle. So here I am using X-rays. You can use X-rays, okay, or electrons. Electron is a particle. When electron is incident on a crystal, it will form some interference pattern. That means the particle is behaving like a wave. So wave particle duality we can explain here. So Bragg used X-rays and he constructed interference pattern here. He constructed diffraction patterns. Okay, so Davison and Germer, they used the same concept of Bragg. Instead of X-rays, Davison and Germer used electrons and they treated electrons as particles, material particle, right? So I can treat electron as matter particle, material particle. So this material particle, when incident on a crystal, it will produce interference pattern. That means particle is behaving like wave. So Davison and Germer gave experimental proof for the concept of wave-particle duality. They supported de Broglie hypothesis. Okay, so what is theta here? Theta is the incident angle and d is the interplanar separation, n is the order of diffraction pattern, lambda is the wavelength of this matter wave. So this is 2d sin theta equals to n lambda. Lambda is wavelength of matter waves produced in this electron interaction with nickel crystal. You can take any other crystal, but Davison and Germer used nickel crystal only. Okay, remember the formula 2d sin theta equals to n lambda. Dear students, please remember that in your CSL exams, the most probability to ask question is from this expression 2d sin theta equals to n lambda. So let us try to solve one problem here. Electrons are accelerated by 345 volts and reflected from a crystal. The first reflection maximum, so n is equals to 1 here, first reflection maximum occurs when the glancing angle is 60 degrees, theta is 60 degrees given. Determine the spacing of the crystal. What is d value? So given data, so let us write down the given data. N is given, theta is given 60 degrees. So you have to calculate d. So what is Bragg's equation? 2d sine theta is equals to n lambda. So you have to calculate d value, right? You know theta value, you know n value. If you know the value lambda, then you can calculate d. So how will you calculate the lambda value? So according to de Broglie hypothesis, lambda can be written as 12.26 divided by root V angstroms. What is V? V is the potential used to accelerate the electrons. So in this problem, n is equals to 1 and V is 344 volts. Okay, so you can calculate lambda value by the formula 12.26 by root V, and 2 is there, d we have to calculate, and sine 60 degrees. So therefore finally what will you get? D is equals to, so I am writing the formula again, n lambda by 2 sine theta, uh, n lam n to n divided by 2 sine theta into lambda is 12.26 root V angstroms. So substitute all the values, you will get the answer. So the answer is D is equals to, here the answer is D is equals to 0.381 angstrom. So this is the answer. And there is another miscellaneous problem, that is moving charged particle in a magnetic field. If we have a magnetic field like this, if we have a magnetic field, perpendicular magnetic field, the magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of the paper. Okay, and a charged particle is entered into this magnetic field. So here the magnetic field is like this, the magnetic field is entering into the page, and suppose you have a charged particle of charge q which is moving with a velocity. This charged particle has a mass m and moving with a velocity v. Then what happens? This is a charged particle and a massive particle moving with a velocity, so definitely it will produce a matter wave, and this matter wave will have a wavelength lambda. Now what is the direction of this charged particle? Since here the velocity v is perpendicular to b, assume that the velocity v is perpendicular to magnetic field, then it will take a circular motion. The path of the particle is circular motion, right? So whenever the particle traverses this direction, traverses this circular path, it will produce a matter wave around it. Okay, now you find the wavelength of this matter wave. Okay, so you know the formula, right? When electron or any charged particle moving perpendicular to a magnetic field, the trajectory of the electron motion is a circle, and you can write the radius of the circle r is given by r is equals to momentum divided by magnetic field magnitude into charge. So this is r is equals to mv into bq, or you can write mv is equals to bqr. Therefore what is the de Broglie wavelength? Lambda is equals to h by mv. Lambda is equals to h by mv. So substitute these values. Lambda is equals to mv is bq into r. So this is another formula for wavelength of a matter wave. Lambda is equals to h by bqr. Let us recall all the formulas once again. Lambda is equals to h by mv. So this is the wavelength of a matter wave produced by a material particle of mass m moving with a velocity v. So I'll write a particle here m which is moving with a velocity v, then de Broglie wavelength will be created. So this de Broglie wavelength will have wavelength lambda. The formula is h by mv, and I can also write this wavelength in terms of kinetic energy, that is 2me. If the material particle is having kinetic energy E, so I can write like this. The third formula is lambda is equals to h by 2m e into v. This is for electrons accelerated by potential v. I can also simplify this as 12.26 divided by root v angstroms. And the fourth one is lambda is equals to h by under root 3m kBt for a monoatomic gas molecules. The wavelength of matter waves created by gas molecules is given by lambda is equals to h by under root 3m kBt. And there are two miscellaneous cases, special cases I can read. One is when electrons are scattered by a crystal, then the wavelength is given by this expression. 2D sin theta n lambda, or lambda can be written as 2D sin theta by n. So this is another expression. You can also write this as 12.26 divided by root v in angstroms is equals to 2D sin theta by n. In the last formula, when charged particle is moving in a direction perpendicular to magnetic field, then I can write lambda is equals to h by bq. So here we have 6 formulas. So you may get questions on this any one of the formula. Okay. And if you another thing I want to write here, that is the relativistic case, the lambda can be written as hc divided by under root ev into ev plus 2m naught c square. Okay, so this is another formula. When we use high potential to accelerate the electron, we'll get this type of expressions. Okay students, I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope you understood the concepts. Thank you for watching.